Hello guys, it's me, Matthew Muswright over at Shy Guy Productions, and this is what my views are on what Apple has announced at WWDC literally just moments ago at the time of this recording. By the time you watch this, it will be somewhere between 21 hours and 45 hours after the keynote went live. So, best case scenario will be up tomorrow, which will be on Tuesday's video, but there you go. Now there is a lot to cover, and I don't think I'll be able to squeeze it all into one video due to the size capacity I have on my iPad, but I'll try and get as much in as possible. So let's begin. Now I'm going to split this into three sections. First, iOS 8, second is the development features, and then finally, but certainly not least, macOS 10 and all of the features that was announced with macOS 10 and obviously iOS 8. Now before I get into that, I want to say, wow, just wow, they have announced a stupid ton of stuff over the course of the 2 hours of the keynote. So much so I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed from it. So many exciting things that I cannot wait to try myself sometime in the somewhat near future. Now let's start out with our first subject, iOS 8. Now, iOS 8 was extremely developer friendly, but we'll get into the next section of the video. But it also had a very refined notification center, which had a lot of cool stuff in it. It had interactivity on it, so we could reply to something right in the notification center. It works with the lock screen. Another cool feature was the multi-tab view. You know, the multi-tab view? Well, now they've added a place where you can see your most recent or your favorites contacts that you obviously that you talk to quite frequently. Those I just want to quickly cover. Now, something I want to cover again a little bit is QuickType. Now, QuickType is a new feature inside iOS 8, as far as I can tell, that uses predictive text, which means it learns from how you type to certain people, and then it comes up with suggestions, from what I can see, 3 suggestions, on how to finish text. And it's also private, so it doesn't leave the device, it stays on your device, it doesn't get sent out to any of Apple's servers, it literally just stays right on your iOS device, whether that's your iPad, your iPhone, your iPod. It all just stays right on the device, so props to Apple for that. Now, you know side views from iOS, from the iPhone, well, they're bringing that to iPad with this next revision of iOS. Of course, a bird's eye view of what tabs you have open, so you could have like, I don't know, like 24 open for whatever reason. I don't know, I try and keep mine to a minimal, but that's another story on its own. And you can just easily see them. That's not really much to say about it. And there's other features like the enrollment program, the device enrollment program for enterprises, and update Spotlight. Now that you can see things on the web, you know, on the App Store, like, I don't know, Minecraft, news, songs, it's all there. And there's like obvious improvements, like improved Siri, so that's going to be interesting to see how much smarter she is this time around. Well, she/he, take your pick. A new photo app that works with iCloud. Well, speaking of iCloud, you can now get about 15 gigabytes more storage for 99 cents, which probably might be 99p where I'm from, per month. So that's about £1 per month, and you get 20 gigs of storage. Of course, you get 5 gigs free, but just in case you need that a little bit more to keep your things backed up. And there's like $3.99 for 200 gigs, and it goes all the way up to 1 terabyte. So that's really exciting. It also kind of leads on to the next, to another feature I want to talk to in the macOS segment of the video. Another good feature that iOS 8 offers is something called family sharing. Now family sharing of course says reminders, says what movies or songs, your digital media your family has bought, your calendar, your calendars, photo streams. You can find family devices, which could be very helpful, especially for equipment that's worth about 2+K, and it works up to 6 family members. So we'll fit right into the 5 family members I have in my family, including my parents, my 2 brothers. So yeah, the next segment is about a mile long on itself. Is the dev, as they probably call it. Now, they added loads of cool features on iOS on itself. Particularly, I think, in Spotlight. Adding an Explore tab in the App Store, trending searches, scrolling results, related app bundles, app previews, and something called Test Flight, which would allow you to test developers' programs in beta and then give feedback to them. iOS apps, so that's very cool. I had to, of course, I looked at the screen because there's no way I could remember all of that. So, like I said, an overwhelming amount of stuff was announced. Just moments ago. It's almost unreal. Now, this test flight feature will be available in the fall, most likely right around the time iOS 8 is announced. Now, the new SDK features about 4,000 new APIs for the developers, obviously, and some of them are I haven't seen them, but iOS now features extensions, which probably a lot of people have been asking for, which allows you to, like on your computer, add extensions to your web browser, to apps, anything like that. And there's not really much to talk about on that. And now, for something I think is extremely exciting to the iOS space, something called Metal. Now, Metal is a new graphic API. I think it's Mantle for iOS. It's this new, kind of smaller and more efficient rendering API that, instead of being this big chunk that is OpenGL, which is the standard, and a very good standard, open source standard for graphics, and has been used by various companies such as Unity, CryEngine maybe, with their new Mac support I think, and the Unreal Engine with its Linux and Mac support. Now Metal is meant to be like a small, slimmed down, smaller version, but still highly efficient at what it does. You could essentially create a 3D animation program that's about a desktop grade, and it takes full advantage, I think, of the 64-bit processor that is the A7. It's obviously designed for A7, pre-compiled stages, and reduces the layer from game to hardware, so that makes it more efficient. And you might not know this, but I think it's going to be in the next version of Unreal Engine 4. Well, not the next version, but in the same month that iOS 8 is coming out, because they seem to be releasing now a new version on a monthly basis. It's 10 times faster than OpenGL on dual core rates, and that's for like the extreme games or extreme 3D applications. And then there's like a casual version called SceneKit, which is like something kit, what was it? Well, regardless what it's called, like I said, I'll probably put the text on the bottom around here it's quite a neat API for casual games, and that's something I'll look into personally when it's released in full. Now, speaking of developer features, there's the new version of Xcode, which features a new C-less programming language called Swift, which is like an efficient, small, modern, simple, secure, new programming language, which has generally interested me. It's compatible with Cocoa and Cocoa Touch, so that's compatible with OS X and iOS apps. Also, it's also compatible, can fit right in it, and Swift can fit into normal C or Objective-C programs, so that's very good. Along with Swift, it comes with its own editor called Playground, which is real-time, can have code instances essentially, and a timeline for debugging reasons, and it's fully compatible with Xcode so that you can debug. Mainly just debugging, really, I think is the most important thing that it supports in Xcode. Also, there's compatible with Objective-C and C. Now, the apps running Swift will be highly more efficient. It can tie right into Metal, Seeing Kit, the other kit I cannot remember. So you'll be able to publish these new apps from Xcode onto the App Store, probably in the fall with the release of iOS 8 and the new OS X. Now, speaking of OS X, before I go into that and all the new features, I want to touch on a few small but important features to this ecosystem that I think it's worth noting before getting to the star of the show. Now, the first one I'm going to say is Mail Drive, which will allow you to essentially bypass the limit of how much data you're allowed to send to the recipient's email server, by essentially sending the mail right through the server, but the attachment goes right to iCloud and then goes, securely to iCloud and securely to the recipient, which they can see straight away on a Mac, or click onto a link on Yahoo, Hotmail, on Windows, Linux, and see that link anyway. So that's all good. Next up is iCloud Drive, which is something I really am looking forward to, because I can essentially unify my work to one drive instead of having it, on multiple drives, because I have it one on my drive I don't currently have. I have it backed up onto a 1 terabyte drive that technically belongs to my dad, and I've now got a separate projects folder on the Windows 8 machine. And all of that, I'm trying to sync my data across through my Dropbox, which I'm running out of disk space considerably. But it's essentially Dropbox that stores your documents, whether that's for, which can be for anything, not, Mac apps, Keynote, Pages, Numbers, but also could be for iOS apps, like, say for example's sake, the app I use to store my recipes called Cook. Now, that could allow me to store all of my recipes and then easily access it on a Mac. So that's always good, but it doesn't have to be for those apps. It could be for anything. I mean, for me as a modder, animator, 3D modeler, it could be .3ds files, it could be .dmx files, it could be .vmf files. It does not matter, because I can just have that all synced up to iCloud Drive. Now, iCloud Drive works on Mac, iOS, and even Windows, so it works for just about any operating system that you will use. Apart from Linux, I don't know if they plan to add Linux support later, highly unlikely, but you never know. And that should be available in full with iOS and OS X. Now, speaking of your OS X, Apple obviously announced the new version, 10.10, which is Mac OS X Yosemite, I think it's pronounced. Now, it's got a new Safari, a new design, which also used the tabs feature I just mentioned in iOS 8. New Smart Search with Spotlight, an improved Spotlight that works with the smarter, looks more cool, let's be frank, and works with the internet. I mean, anyway, it could be from iTunes, the Mac App Store, or Safari, and even works within Safari as a smart search. So that's a very cool feature, and it's also available in the iOS 8 version of Safari. Like I said, tab views, improved privacy, adhering to industry standards, i.e. HTML5 and CSS4. It's more efficient, instant access to favorites, scrolling tabs bar, and something that we all been seeing coming since the release of iOS 7. macOS 10 10.10 comes with a brand new redesigned UI which looks like iOS 7 / iOS 8. Now, like I said, we've been seeing this coming ever since iOS 7 was announced. Now, this is a picture of the concept, well, of a concept I found on Twitter a while ago. And this is what it actually looks like. And I think it looks very similar. It also comes in a dark skin, so for professional users. So that's an awesome addition to the UI. I absolutely love the new icons. It's kind of, some of them got this popping kind of 3D to it, and I really like the touch there. It's got a beautiful trash can. I got to confess, it looks very similar to my actual bin. Now, macOS 10 Yosemite is available to developers today, with it being available to everyone else in the fall. But now with the announcement of Appleseed, Apple's new public beta for OS X, they'll choose select number of people that aren't developers to test macOS X before it's released in the fall. Now, most likely this will happen in the summer, i.e. in September, and I want to be one of those people to get access to it. Now, something I left out last, quite unintentionally actually, is something called Handover. Now, Handover is kind of, streamlining, you doing something on your tablet or phone to your desktop, because you could say be typing something up in Pages, and then there's this notification coming up on next to the left of Finder saying you're doing something on your tablet. So and you click it, it opens Pages, and you can just continue working on it there. And it does it all seamlessly. No setting up required. It doesn't even have to be connected through wires for this to work. I could say have the iPad over there, but I still would have access to that document, and it would still know that I'm working on this document, and it works vice versa. I could be working on something on my desktop, and I quickly need to go out, and there will be a notification on iOS 8 on the bottom left hand side, and I can continue it by just a swipe up. So that's really cool. There you go, guys. That's my initial roundup of WWDC 2014 keynote. I'm going to sign off now, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.